everyone. It's so good to see you at today's Coffee and Conversation. Just so you know, this will be the last Coffee and Conversation until fall. We don't hold them during the summer because hopefully everybody is so busy with all of our summer visitors that we don't have time to do anything else. So that's what we're hoping for. But we're glad to have you. I do want to introduce a few people. We have some members of our Chamber Board of Directors. Mickey Furcron, Brandon Lottie Gillian, and Jackie Dempsey is here. So we're always glad we have an amazing board of directors at the Chamber. They're extremely supportive, super smart, and successful business people. They paid me to say that. Not enough. No, I'm kidding. No, really, we're very thrilled to have the board that we have. I also want to introduce one of our brand newest members, I believe just this week, Dan the Groove Man. He's right over here, so welcome to our chamber, Dan. And you're going to meet Dan again on Tuesday evening, because we have an event coming up, and I believe he's going to be there doing his groove thing. So, also, I just want to acknowledge our city manager, Randy Smith, and Ken Edders, one of our city council members. So we're glad everyone is here today. I do want to let you know, on your tables, you have copies of the 2022 Guide to South Padre Island. This is the #1 piece used for marketing the island for the Chamber, as well as businesses. It's an 80-page guide. There are 100,000 copies printed that go all over the country and Canada. And it's a great guide, and Diana Harville is the one that puts that together. Yay, Diana. She's pretty amazing, and so is Beverly. Beverly's over here. Beverly's our Vanna White. Beverly is who you'll talk to if you're not a member of the Chamber, when you want to come in and join the Chamber, you'll talk to Beverly. So anyway, the guide, it takes months to put together, and Diana will be contacting you to see if you are interested in being in the guide. Now, if she contacts you, I've been told, all you need to do is say yes. And then she'll leave you alone and we'll get everything taken care of for you. Now, if you ignore her when she calls you, just trust me, you don't want to do that. So anyway, we hope that all of you are going to be interested in being in the guide. It is a great piece. It's very important for our island, this guide is. It's a great marketing tool for the whole island. And Chamber members get a discount. Oh, yes, and we are members of a large Chamber association. And every year they have awards for the best marketing tools, for the best website. We won Diana won first place. The Chamber won first place. And I don't believe that was the first time. This year we're going to be putting our newsletter in there. I know you all have seen our newsletter, and she just does a great job on that. So we're going to be putting that up, and we're expecting to get first place for that. So we're excited about that. Let me see what else I have here. Okay, there are several events that are coming up that we want you all to attend. #1 is tonight at 5:30 in Port Isabel is a ribbon cutting for Philly King. And you don't want to miss that. If you go, you'll be entered into a drawing to win one cheesesteak a week for 52 weeks. So you never have to cook for a whole year, because they're big and they'll last a couple days. You can probably share them with someone that you like. So please come to that ribbon cutting tonight. You all as business owners know how important it is when you have a new business, and you sit around and you plan these things and you think, oh, what if no one comes? And so let's all show our support for our fellow business people, because we all need that, as we know. And then Tuesday night, okay, next Tuesday from 5:30, starting at 5:30, we are inviting all of you to the new Holiday Inn Resort South Padre Island. It's down on the south end. They have redone that place, and it is beautiful. And we are partnering with them to have a chamber mixer. It's called Contacts and Cocktails. So it's a chance for all of us to get together before summer, just kind of let our hair down, have a good time, do some networking, some cocktails, there'll be hors d'oeuvres, and then there will be some music. So please join us for that. It'll be a fun time. You know, invite your friends. If you have some prospective chamber members, invite them, and they can see how fun we all are, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, I gotta join the chamber. So please come to that. And then, well, on your table you have a list of upcoming events. There's a Social Security seminar that's very good. I know, you know, most of you think, oh, I'm not old enough for Social Security, but you will be, and it won't be long, trust me. And so this will be some really good information for you. I think that's it. Oh, we do have another 12 at 12. We had our first 12 at 12 this week, and it was a wonderful success. We have Mohawk Mahdi was there, and AC Chin was there. Lovely Lisa?
Library.
Lively Lisa.
Library.
Library Lisa, that's right. Library Lisa? Anyway, yes, she was a librarian for many, many years. Pretty amazing. Anybody else that was there that I missed? Oh, there we go. We have Jaime from Island Fitness. He was there. It was a really good meeting. They learned a lot. We all learned a lot. We got to know each other. And we'll be doing another one on June 21st. And we only have 10 openings because we want to keep the group small, so you can register online on the SPI Chamber website. But we hope that you all will take advantage of that. It will be well worth your time, I think. So, okay, I will shut up. I want to introduce Alta Monroe, who is the chairwoman of our Government Affairs Committee. They are the ones that host these coffees and conversations, and she will introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to introduce a friend of mine for, I don't know, 35 years or however many years it is, and he's a man in the know. And I think everyone will enjoy the information that he has to share. So here's kind of his bio. He's a real estate broker on the island for 25 years. He's principal broker, marketing partner, and owner of Padre Island Rentals. He's a resident of San Benito. He's married to Belinda for 32 years. You get an award for that. 7 children and 20 grandchildren. A member of the Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he continues to serve in many capacities with that entity. He's a member of the Padre Island Convention and Visitor Advisory Board since 2018, president of the newly formed Vacation Rental Management Association of South Padre Island, and he turns 65 in July. That's a big deal.
He's got a Social Security seminar.
Has no plans to retire. He has way too much to do. So, Tom?
Even though I can speak really loud, I'm going to keep the microphone up here. Yeah, Social Security thing, you know, you were talking about the Port Isabel and being over there, you know, that's a whole other topic in itself, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion. We are not soloed out here as an island. It is important that we work with our neighbors on the other side of the pond. I can't say that enough. I think that's extremely important. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you very much for inviting me here today. And as much as anything, I can answer lots of questions, but I'm going to give you a lot to think about to start with, and first kind of give you an idea of where we are on the island, in what I see, in my perspective. We've got, of course, councilman and city manager back there, and so they can kind of keep me in check as well with some of the things we've talked about. But, ladies and gentlemen, the island this summer, which was a question I was asked, will probably see a little less traffic than we had last year, but probably more dollar income as a result. So, to kind of put it quickly, succinctly, in the vacation rental business I'm in, and in the hotel business that we see out here, we're seeing a little less in terms of occupancy, what we call occupancy, the number of rooms rented. But what we're seeing is a lot more revenue. The city revenue so far this first 6 months of this fiscal year is up 9%, almost 10%, somewhere around there, from last year. And last year was a terrific year, which was huge above the year before. What's happening? How's that happening? Why is that happening? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. I got to tell you that during COVID-19, during in 20, when a lot of businesses around the country were all going down, us in the vacation rental business saw an increase. Why is that? Because when you can rent a condo and go and have your own kitchen, you can have your own individual, or rent a home, you have your own individual space, you can sequester yourself from the rest of the world. And so people understood that and got away from the rest of the world and came down and stayed in vacation rentals pretty much. Vacation rentals, yes, you're going to hear me talk about those quite a bit because that's the industry we're in. Represented in the last 2 years 54 and 56% of the hotel occupancy tax collections. More than your hotels. And that becomes an important statistic. We are an incredibly important part of the market here. And so, yeah, it's been my privilege over the last 4 or 5 years to bring to light how important that segment of our population is. Now, there's a lot to talk about there in terms of what that means, because nobody likes those parties next door. Nobody likes those kinds of problems that are out there. Thus, part of what Nikki and I and several others have done is form a vacation rental managers association on the island for the purpose of elevating the professionalism of that segment of our industry.
That's wonderful.
And so we want to improve it. We want to be better. We've got our good neighbor agreements. We want to put out all kinds of other things so that when you have those problems, we can identify them. We've even talked with the mayor and the city manager and others over there and said, look, if you've got a police call to a property that's got a problem, identify it as a vacation rental. So we want to know about it. We want to know that there's a problem. We want to know that there's an issue there, because we're happy to go out there and help that manager of that property either be better or get out of the business. And that's just that simple, because none of us wants to be in our paradise out here with all the problems and issues associated with it. So that's one of the things that we're working on as well. What can you expect this summer? And what's the deal with the dollars and cents? When I say ADR, I'm talking average daily rate. That's a hotel term, that's a vacation rental term, average daily rate, ADR. We're seeing about a 20% increase in our average daily rates out here on the island over last year. Last year was not small, which means we can have less traffic but bring in more dollars. It's kind of a real fine balance there. What it also says is that the quality, it's not the right word, that the persons coming out here are a different class, or a different level of income, or a different level of person. That's what that also says. Because the household income, or HHI, which we have typically marketed to, which is anywhere between $50,000 and $75,000, now goes from $75,000 to $125,000 in terms of where we're looking to market our properties. That's not to say that we're ignoring our values. As a matter of fact, we are very serious about making sure that we market, and I'm speaking from a CBD point now, very serious about marketing to the island, because they bring in a lot of sales tax, and our sales tax issues. It's really important that we stay focused too in our core business. But I will tell you too that, looking at this summer, it's interesting to see, we got a new high in gas prices yesterday, a national average. It's going to continue to go up. Is that going to hurt our drive market? Possibly. Yeah. Very potential. So what we see. So there's some unknowns here in terms of where we're going to be this summer. Is that going to discourage? But at the same time, those increased gas prices take money out of people's pockets to go other places they might typically go. So, but yet they're still going to want to travel. We here are so blessed because organically, when I speak to that, when I say organically, what I mean is that we have the natural resources that attract people to come. Last year before, we didn't spend a whole lot of money from the CBD standpoint. Matter of fact, we have better reserves than we've got huge amounts of money that we could do But what we're seeing is people look at South Padre Island and say, I can go get away there. We just interviewed and just hired a new director of the CBB. His name is Blake Henry, if you haven't seen that. He will start on June 26th, 27th, somewhere around there, I think. We interviewed a lot of candidates when we looked at that. Blake, by the way, is coming from Kentucky. He's out of Louisville, Kentucky, and comes by himself. He's not bringing a family with him. He is a lot of the Convention and Visitors Bureau experience out of Louisville, Kentucky. And really the intent with him is to help us with our off-season business. We're looking to be able to use the convention and facilities up there for a lot of the off-season type of stuff. During the season, we got plenty of traffic out here. During high season, we got plenty of traffic. Even during February, January, February, we've got lots of traffic going on out here. But what he'll help us with, of course, and what we're focused on is off-season business to try to bring that kind of stuff. I'm excited to see Blake come in. He got on his first interview. I was on the committee that hired him, as well as the city manager back there. And Blake says, I'm your guy. I'm the one that's going to get it done. And so we're excited to see what he can do. But what we're looking at, though, in terms of the rest of the state of Texas, and we have all the heat maps and the internet and all the stuff to show where people are coming from. Are they going to not come? Are they going to not come because of increased prices, inflation, area issues, and those kinds of things? My opinion, I'm optimistic always, of course, so maybe you can take that wrong, but optimistic in that I believe that people will probably hesitate as they did during COVID. We're seeing COVID issues rise again too now. As they did during COVID, begin to look around and say, you know what, I don't know that we could go there, but we could go back to South Padre Island. And I think that from an organic standpoint, just what we have, the ability for folks to come down here and get away from the rest of the world becomes a really important thing. Like I said, we didn't spend a whole lot of money last year in the Convention and Visitors Bureau because we didn't have to. And so this year, I think that takes me to another issue. And I'll stop here in a minute and answer any questions that you guys might have, as best I can. But it takes me to another issue. During the time that we interviewed all of these candidates, my favorite questions, a lot of them was so, because they're not from the area, obviously. I said, so, before looking at this, Mr. Candidate, what did you understand about South Padre Island? What was your impression of South Padre Island? To a one, the answer was spring break. And that's a concern of mine. Since I've sat on the Convention and Visitors Bureau for the last 5 years, my concern is our brand and our reputation and who we are. Spring break is 2 weekends in a week these days. We can't hang our hat on that. But how we go about changing that brand, how we go about changing that, how the perception of South Padre Island becomes important. I just saw the CBB had an influencer, a social influencer writer in just recently, and I saw an article that they wrote, and the title of the article is basically, it's not just spring break on South Padre Island. And I'm going, please, stop putting that in the title. Stop putting it in there and doing that. So that becomes a major push of what we're doing in terms of the CBB, and at least that's what I'm looking. And it becomes important, too, that we do things like brand association. I mean, SpaceX is a huge draw. Why aren't we more closely associated with SpaceX? The barrier reef that's going up out here, all of the fishing becomes important. All of the ecotourisms, the turtles and the birds, all become important things. Those are all things, the water sports and the other things are all things that can be associated and should be associated with the brand of South Padre Island. We're an incredible destination out here. I mean, to me, it's another day of paradise out here. That's all it is. Trouble is, I live across the bridge from all these things work. And so my family's all sitting there going, hey, let's go to the island, let's go somewhere else. But we're at a great time. What's going to happen this summer? I hope I'll kind of give you an indication that we kind of think we know, but necessarily going to hurt us. COVID definitely won't hurt us because, again, people are going to try to sequester themselves. So all indications are to me is that we're looking at a good summer. Not as much traffic. Who did not like the traffic last summer? My goodness. I mean, you go to the weekends, it's horrible. Again, that's where we also begin to thank South Port Isabel because they helped us to figure out the traffic flows better. I think they did really well. That's part of another reason to be able to communicate with other communities across the pond. So there's a lot of things going on. There's an awful lot of things going on. What questions can I answer for you? Is there anybody that has anything that's just burning in their minds and hearts that perhaps that I can answer? Otherwise, I can keep going.
You were talking about the percentage of hot tax, 56, and I think you said 55, 54. How many VRM rooms are there as opposed to hotel rooms? I mean, is it because the number of VRMs are higher or because the ADR is higher for the VRM? Or?
Excellent question. Thank you very much. Her question is that, okay, you got how many hotel rooms, how many vacation rental properties do we have? By the way, let me address this first. A lot of people use the term vacation rentals and they go Airbnb. You're staying in an Airbnb. That's not a right term. That's like saying hamper instead of diaper. It's like saying Kleenex instead of facial or tissue. It's a vacation rental that people use. So yeah, that's why it's the Vacation Rental Managers Association. So if you hear people say Airbnb, they're talking about vacation rentals, not necessarily something from Airbnb.com, which we're on. We're on all the channels. There are, an exact number is difficult to come up with in terms of vacation. That's one of the things that our Vacation Rental Managers Association wants to deal with, is to have a very clear understanding of how many are out there. Because the question becomes, and has been for years, how many of them are not paying hotel tax? So that becomes something that we're very, very interested in and working on doing as well. But yes, we do have statistics very clear about the difference in ADRs, average daily rates, from hotels versus the vacation rentals. And they are nearly double. We will nearly double the amount of daily income from a vacation rental than from a hotel. And that's part of it. That's absolutely. As a matter of fact, our own right now, in my office, our ADR for July is, upcoming July, is over $500 a day. Yeah, that sounds like a lot, but that's what people will take. You can take your whole family and put them in a 2 or 3 bedroom unit versus 2 or 3 hotel rooms. You win. You still win. And so it's just interesting to understand that. And the vacation rental business as a whole, we've been in business, Power Rentals has been in business for 40 years out here. But you know what? We're just now starting to realize what we're doing. The whole vacation rental industry over the last 6 or 7 years is really starting to change significantly. There's billions of dollars going into the vacation rental business these days. You've got major players that are trying to get into the market. They have operations. Picasa's out here in the island. They're a larger company instead of small. But we have typically been a mom and pop organization. That's what we've been in vacation. Now, you own a home, you own a condo, you want to earn some income off of it, then good. But will they cash flow? Can you earn enough money to get a positive cash flow off of those? Real estate agents can ask that question. The answer is typically no. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for understanding that. Typically, no, you're not. You're not going to earn enough money, but you're going to have people come up and go, I can buy one of those condos out there and I can rent it out and I'm going to make a lot of money. No, you're not. Why? Because your HOA fees are generally, they can be high. Particularly if you're servicing debt on that, that's true. If you have no debt on it, yeah, it might be possible to do that. But still, what kind of return you're actually getting is another question. So there's the vacation rental industry is really coming into its own. I'm leaving here right after this to go to Houston. We have in Galveston because there is a Texas advocacy meeting. I'm meeting with some other folks from Texas and Galveston area up there tonight, tomorrow, regarding regulation and how we deal with regulation for vacation rental industries. Please know that I know that there's issues in front of the city council right now. Please know that we're very conscious of that. The income that comes from vacation rentals is tremendous. And you're actually looking at fewer cars, and those people spend more money in the restaurants and everything else. I should start on. They spend more money, and so they're a great market to market to. But you're also looking at it, it's a slightly different market than hotels. So we at the CVB have to balance between marketing to hotels and vacation rentals. Because the booking window, you go to a hotel, you might plan a week ahead. Vacation rental people plan generally a month or more ahead. I mean, they can be a lot farther ahead. And so that becomes different how you market to them. And so the CVB and our marketing needs to be specific. But yeah, that APR is significant.
I actually have another question. So it appears, and Alton would know this more than anyone, that a lot of people are coming into the area and buying homes and condos strictly for rental or vacation rentals. Is there can the market get flooded with, obviously, that's one question. And then the other question I had was, did COVID and the people coming during COVID, did that sort of open a new gate for people that they weren't familiar with vacation rentals?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. I'm going to answer a second question first. Was, okay, did COVID open up a gateway for vacation rentals? The answer to that question is it's been ongoing. In my opinion, and I've said this to many people, in my opinion, the COVID year propelled the vacation rental industry ahead about 5 years. That's what I see. And so yes, about 5 or 6 years ago, only maybe 30% of the popular traveling public had ever stayed in a vacation rental. Now we're up to about 80%. So it's a fascinating dynamic to watch. It's a great question. We are continuing to see more people understand. Now that puts a lot of pressure on me as a vacation rental manager, because coming out of a hotel, they expect many of the same services that a hotel provides. You got the coffees, you got the other, all the different types of things are there. So it puts a lot more pressure on me to be able to provide people with the things that they would expect from a hotel. So yeah, that's a great question. And the first part of that question was?
I don't remember.
Obviously, I don't either.
Can the market get flooded? Is there any concern that the market might get flooded?
That's an interesting question. Can we have too many vacation units out here? Yeah, it depends on people's money. It really does. One of the, let me answer the question this way. In Destin, Florida, over there on 38, that route, I'll be answering those places over there. Your type of vacation rental home is different than it is here. We have some condos over there, but you have a lot of vacation rental homes because they got a lot more beach that they can play with. And they have over, you realize that you can go over there and rent a 24-bedroom home. I mean, they got these huge places out there that you can rent. We don't have anything like that out here. We might get 6 or 7 or 8 bedrooms out here in a few properties, but we don't have the same type of stuff. And those people from Dallas and other areas are going that direction because we don't have the offerings down here. Will that change over time? I suspect it will. If we ever decide to get building more down here a little bit more, that might change. So, but as it is right now, yeah, we've now the other difference too is that when you go to places even like Port Aransas or Mustang Island or places over there, they don't have the beachfront that we have. They don't have you in a condo sitting there looking at the waves lapping up on the beach. They have very little of it. And so, yeah, we still have the better natural resources, so those kinds of things will attract people here to come here as well. That's too quiet. I must be answering all your questions. Yes, ma'am.
What are the top 3 hotspots in Texas that people are visiting from, and what's the #1 outside of Texas?
For us, San Antonio is right there. San Antonio, Austin, Houston, and Dallas. I mean, I can show you the heat maps, in terms of where people are coming from. Yeah, and the valley, of course. We like those from up north because they spend more days. They travel farther and they spend more days here. So we like to focus on those that are there. Outside of that, our market here on South Padre Island is still that whole kind of Midwest corridor up to Michigan, up in those areas right there. It's that whole corridor right there. So yeah, but we still get people from Seattle. We still get people from, Maine. I mean, it's amazing to watch. Just not as much. But our main corridor is still the central portion of the U.S. Yes.
Would you have information on where those people are moving from?
Moving from?
Do you have that?
I don't have that moving information in terms of actually here purchasing. But when you say moving, most of the purchases here are second homes. They're not necessarily primary residences.
And that's changing.
Yeah, that's changing. To some degree, we can see an increase in full-time residency out there, of course. Yes, sir.
Most of the marketing dollars are going to Texas or to Manhattan?
Right now, in the last year, we focused primarily on Texas because it's still a dry market, because air traffic has been still a concern. Air traffic continues to open up, but at the same time, man, I got kids that live up in Seattle, and I tried to book a trip up there here 3 weeks ago, and it was $1,300 per person. I said, I just talked to you guys on the phone. But yeah, so no, we're still primarily focused on, and we watch that very carefully from the CBD standpoint, is where is the traffic coming from, where do we think it comes from. We're looking for emerging markets as well. But yeah, let's focus on where it is that we are right now and what we're doing there. Great question. Yes, sir.
Does the music industry affect people coming to the market? Can you go up there now?
That's a good question. The question that I'm going to throw back and then say, what do we want our brand of South Padre Island to be associated with? Is that something that does the Texas music scene something that we want to see? We had last week we heard on the term I can't remember basically it's basically music on the beach, Texas beach. But the music industry, certainly. Another industry that we're starting to see a little bit of is actually the movie industry, believe it or not. There's one movie right now has been filmed. I don't know what the status of it is. That includes South Padre Island as part of that. There's another one that's I recently saw the script for in terms of promoting South Padre Island as its backdrop and really getting us to think for us. We're still unknown by much of the rest of the world. We really are. A lot of people still don't know where South Padre Island is, who it is. So we travel north of there, people know where. And so spring break, then that'll help.
You talk about branding association. What are some of the ideas that y'all are going around for, like, networking at the island, fundraising at the island, that kind of? Is it going to be more family oriented, so that way when we do any kind of fundraising, that we target that brand for the island?
When you say fundraising, I'm not sure.
Because I'm from the Children's Advocacy Center, and we try to do fundraising events out here at the island to entice, I guess you could say, more of a luxury kind of fundraising that you would normally see up north, because it's hard to do in local areas because it's always go and see it every day. But if we go out to the island, it's a little bit more luxurious, a little bit more resortful. Is that included in the ideas of your branding?
One of the things in terms of brand is that we can say we're ecotourism friendly. I really want to do sports tourism. That's huge across the country. We don't have a sports facility necessarily at this point to put people together. But sports tourism around the country is huge. One segment of the market that I think that we really could go after a lot stronger, and I'd like to see us, is homeschoolers. More people are pulling their kids out of schools, and homeschoolers are fine. They have the ability to travel off season. So let's break it down here and put them through a space camp. Let's put them through a birding camp. Let's put them through those kinds of things. So those are things which we can also do. But as far as actual your children's advocacy stuff, those are all brand issues that we can work with from a large standpoint that would probably help you out people out here. But brand is huge. We're right now going through a budget process, city manager, councilman, and we're looking for money to spend more money to try to build our brand. We look at that, our brand real hard. And so we're trying to put enough money in the budget right now that we have the funds. Just kind of getting by those. So to work on that brand. And to show, and I realize I have to show them that we are capable of doing that from a CPD standpoint, that we really can be wise with the money that we spend and try to work towards that kind of thing. But I think now's the time. We have a great opportunity to be able to rebrand ourselves, refresh the brand of it. As it is. I'm not saying do away with the umbrellas or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just saying we need to refresh that brand and look at those things.
Well, it seems that we have so many things that we offer, like, nature tourism, the beach. We're a very laid-back community. Rather than trying to be the brand that we're, luxury, high, let's not try to make it something that we're not, when we have so much that we can work on that's already here and fits here. Because I remember through the years when we were talking about, what do we want to be on the island? We would have community meetings and talk about that. And there was a lot of push to make it a higher level. I can't even remember the term that was thrown around, but we're just not that. And I don't know how, we don't want to try to make ourselves something that we're not when we have so much that we already are.
We do. I mean, we got a great food universe out here. We've got a great, we just have lots of great things out here that a great art institute.
Right,
The arts are
we get a lot of calls in the chamber, people wanting to know, is there a 5-star hotel on the island? No.
There's not that many 5-star hotels.
Right. I think there's only 2 or 3 in the whole state of Texas or something, but we do get a lot of calls, people looking for the newest hotel, the most luxury hotel, and so that seems to be what a lot of people are looking for, I guess.
Well, we're obviously then attracting a upper level community looking for something, and that's fine. But to me, the first part, the most important part is got to be family. And that's huge. We've got, you realize, I attended earlier this year a Texas Travel Alliance conference in Houston with some of the chamber members, the CDB members, and we have over about 1,400 people a day moving to the state of Texas. I mean, it's huge, and most of the, believe it or not, the 2 markets those people are coming from, California and Florida. Both of those people coming from those states understand beaches. Where's the best beach in Texas? So those people coming here are going to look for beaches. So there's huge amounts of other things to consider right here without having to reach out too far. But we've got to put that brand out there. We've got to put ourselves out the way that they need to put it out. We've got it, folks. We've got it. And how we organize, if we don't get ahead of it, it's going to get ahead of us, like traffic last year. We got to deal with those things. The city did a great job of organizing that stuff. Boy, we got a long ways to go. You have a question? Yes, ma'am.
So, what is your opinion when you ask someone, or when you start asking them when they bring you goes out there, what's the number 1 thing that you're hoping to hear when you say, what do you think of when you think of Top Project? What is your hope that they're going to think about?
A great family destination, family beach destination. When you say family beach destination, you're not then looking at, well, it's just a high-end place to go. No, you're looking at a place the family can go and enjoy it and have all kinds of things to do. We have an incredible amount of activities. I mean, you guys provide tremendous activities out here for people to do. I love it. I can't keep enough of it up on my website and trying to say, hey, way to go with all the activities, whether it's the kiteboarding or the windsurfing or the jet skis or the banana boats or fishing. By the way, that's a great point. She said the lighthouse in Port Isabel. We have statistics that we keep. We use a company called Arrivalist at the CDB for statistical, and we track points. It's a scary technology. Actually, it scared the heck out of me when I did it. But we can see where people go when they come here by using the take on the phone. So yeah, are you being tracked? Yes. The number 3 point of interest out here is the lighthouse.
people that plan their vacation around visiting Lighthouse.
Yeah. And so again, I can tell you, we really need to be spending much more time with Port Isabel and Mesa and what's going on. And it becomes a whole spectrum as we get closer to the causeway, which I really can't talk a lot about. But I wish we could. Actually, this will tell you, this was 20 years ago. I was part of Chamber of Commerce, and that was one of the tasks I was given, was to see if we could do that. We were holding 20 years ago, literally. And we were meeting with Mayor Card in Farmington at the time, and saying, okay, we begin to do this kind of stuff.
Who's the mayor?
Who's the mayor?
Is he gone?
No, it's still a while.
Who's it gone?
City manager?
Talking Mays now.
Probably be another 20 years.
Let's hope not. I mean, we just did spend $100 million from the city to try to help people look at studies and stuff. The state of Texas, of course, by forming the regional RNA, the higher point of the higher purpose, if you go to McAllen, you go to 281, 778 or 83 interchange right there, and that's all a mess. They put that above the causeway, so maybe next legislative session in Texas we can get on board, which we need to talk about. The lobbyists get to that one city later on. But it's all these things have to be done, and I enjoy working on it. I'm grateful to be part of it. I'm having a lot of fun working with great CBD staff. How many of you are here today? Give applause for
Good for you.
They really do a lot of great work up there, and they've been under a lot of pressure this last year with all the kind of the budget cuts and all the different things we've done to make sure that we were okay through the COVID crisis. And we're happy now to have a new director coming on board. These guys work hard. Thank you very much for all your great work.
Well, and Tom, thank you for being on the CDB because it's a lot of work. You're a volunteer. I mean, they need to know you don't get paid for this. And it's, the time and effort, the thought process that you put in is much appreciated.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, yes. Any more questions for Tom? Oh, I have a few more reminders. Because you didn't put it on your phone. Let's see, tonight is the ribbon cutting at Philly Cheese in Port Isabel. If you've not been there, it's really good. Next to Feldman's in Port Isabel. And then we have contacts and cocktails next Tuesday, 5:30 to 7 at the Redo Holiday Inn down in the South End. And it is beautiful. You're right, they have done an amazing job. And there's going to be hors d'oeuvres, and there's going to be drinks and music. So join us and come and mix with your other people who live here, your other members. Thank you so much. And this is the last meeting until September. And we are trying to get the mobility RMA.
CCO.
Yeah, we're trying to get them to come up and talk to us about the causeway and about what they're doing up the valley. So watch out, the list for next year will be out soon and you'll know who the speakers are. Thank you. Thank you for attending. We appreciate it.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, where's Lori?
Lori,
Lori,
she's hiding.
come here, Lori.
Yes, thanks, Lori.
Lori, come here, we want to give you some flowers. We'll pass them up here.
Listen, they get up and come in here and make coffee and set up for us, and Lori does so much work, and we please give her a big hand for everything that she does. We appreciate it very much. And she's not here, but I also want to thank Carla Skametka. She always does pastries for us, and even if she can't be here, she comes the day before and puts them up for us. So we really do appreciate Carla. And Carla, if you're watching, we have flowers for you. So come to the office, or I'm taking them home with me. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. We'll see you tonight and then again on Tuesday.